So a lot has been happening in the Ashanti region capital, Kumasi, following the NPP's Delegates conference, which just ended a short time ago. Let's get some introspection into this. Political marketing strategist Dr. Kobby Mensah is joining me for a conversation. Thank you, Doc, for joining us. So we just heard there from the conference. Some of the proposals have been deferred to the executive committee. There are others that have been referred for broader consultation, particularly referring to the election of a presidential candidate, just say 2 years to the election. From where you sit, how strategic has this conference been all in a whole?
Well, obviously, the conference, by all indications, seems to have gone well. The party seems to have conducted itself well. The various factions, which, hitherto the conference, people thought they were going to, go against what the party actually, sort of laid out, actually, behaved in the way that the party, really, summoned them to do. So I think that, in a whole, it has been a very good, kind of conference for the party, of course.
Okay, now going forward, the majority leader mentioned protection of MPs. So, for example, incumbent MPs during the 2023 primaries, he is advocating by giving some immunity or protection, so they go into the election unopposed. He also lamented, some factions within the party who are working to remove first-time MPs, for example. From where you sit, is this a call that the party should even consider at all?
I think it's highly unnecessary, and to be honest, I think that it goes against the tenets of democracy, especially coming from a party like NPP. I mean, we have always been told that it's a party that actually follows due process. Remember, democracy is a participation of all people. And so if you hold dear the tenet of democracy, why would you actually suggest that some people must be given immunity? Of course, there are others who are actually waiting to ensure that they can contest. There's nothing wrong with making sure that when people contest, obviously they're actually given, for example, enough resources, everybody's given a fair chance to win, and then they go into competition. But for you to suggest that some people must be ring-fenced in order that they can actually win the election because you want to maintain a certain number of, parliamentarians, in the chamber. I think it's really, unfortunate coming from someone as democratic as, Chairman Mensah, Honorable Chairman Mensah. I didn't actually expect that from him. I think that we have to deepen our democracy, and by so doing, we have to actually make it much more open, much more competitive, and much more exciting for people to believe that indeed we have democracy. It is almost like, someone arguing that their governance is so good that they must be allowed to actually run the third term, fourth term, etc., which has actually sent Africa nowhere. We shouldn't actually condone the idea that someone is so special that they should be ring-fenced to go into the election unopposed. I think it's undemocratic, and we don't expect that from someone like Honorable Chairman Mensah.
So finally then, how does the party deal with the acrimony and the rancor that usually characterizes these, processes? So we know that in 2008, for example, 17 candidates, vied for the presidential candidate slot. Now we're having a number of individuals making their intent known. Boache Jaku, for example, Dr. Uswe Friakoto, Alan Cash, all of these are in the running. The president has spoken about dealing with acrimony. The competition must be healthy. How should the NPP be strategizing and positioning themselves for this particular exercise?
Of course, every reasonable, every effective organization has structures, and I would think that the NPP, as an effective, party political organization, should have the necessary structures to deal with such acrimonies. I mean, you do not need, 2 years, 3 years to solve issues. If you're very effective and if you're very efficient in what you do, you have the necessary structures. You should be able to, conduct elections, and whatever comes up after that, be able to resolve it within a very short period of time. It doesn't matter how many people contest. So long as people feel that they have been dealt with appropriately, i.e. they've been given a fair chance to contest, and afterwards they have been given fair chance to address their grievances, I'm sure they will be reasonable enough to accept the result, no matter how long it takes. So I don't think that it's a problem at all, given the number of people who will actually contest the elections. It's about the structures. If they make the structures work, people will be reasonable to accept the results.